Thank you, Ken. Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 6:03. This is a notice of emergency school board meeting for June 1st, 2020. We're within the Franklin Middle School Library. We are adhering to the strict limit to 10 on-site participants or less per the governor's orders. Community members may email questions or comments prior to the meeting or during the meeting to the superintendent at dgallo@gm.sau18.org. Please include name. All questions and comments will be read into the minutes and will be addressed by the board. If the public wishes to call in during the public participation, which we do not have one tonight, but if you do have a question on any of the agenda items on this board meeting tonight, you can call in and ask your questions at 266-9833. You'll be speaking with the superintendent. We have 4 other school board members present within the Franklin Middle School Library. Jeff Savory's here, Cecile Cormier, Scott Burns, Delaney Carrier, myself, and Superintendent Legallo are all within the Franklin Middle School Library. This meeting was properly posted and within the time frame that is required for an emergency school board meeting. Under an emergency school board meeting, we have to stick to just what the agenda items are. So as we go through the agenda, I read them off one at a time. We cannot go and discuss any further items on an emergency meeting. I'm going to start with this, if we could all just stand and salute for the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The agenda item 1 for this evening is a memorandum of understanding with the Franklin Education Association. And I'm getting a head shake from the superintendent saying no.
I was contacted by the city after our agenda was posted, that they asked for the board's permissions for Ward 2 voting at Franklin High School for the 3 elections that are coming this fall and winter because of traffic flow and the coronavirus. So I'm going to request that the board do a change to their agenda and move this to item number 1 so we can take action on it, and then let them know they need to take action at their meeting simultaneously. So as soon as you take action, they can take action.
Okay. So do we have a motion to move a late item up to the top of the agenda? So moved by Jeff Savory, second by Cecile Cormier. Do I have any discussion? I'm seeing no discussion. I need a roll call vote. This vote is to move the elections, 3 elections during 2020 to the Franklin High School.
Okay. Susan Hallett Cook?
Yes.
Chris Nealon?
Yes.
Deb Brown?
Yes.
Tim Dow?
Yes.
Jeff Savory?
Yes.
Cecile Cormier?
Yes.
Scott Burns? Delaney Courier?
That motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. I just texted the city. I'm sure they'll text us back. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will now go on to agenda item now, will be number 2.
Was there no, excuse me,
memorandum of
Tim?
understanding.
Excuse me, Tim?
Yes,
Was there no discussion about that motion?
I
that
asked if there was
was
any
the motion.
discussion and nobody said anything.
Well, I didn't hear you ask for discussion.
I did.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Okay, item number 1 is a memorandum of understanding. This is with the Franklin Education Association to the Franklin School Board.
So we were approached by the FEA to sign this memorandum of agreement with the fact that we waived 4 days with them, which of course they agree with. It's really just for contractual sake. I did run it by our attorney who fully supports it. So I would be recommending that you allow Chairman Dow and myself to sign the memorandum of understanding for the 4 days that we waived for the 2019-20 school year.
Motion to, so move to make this motion to accept the Franklin Education Association and the Franklin School District has been made by Jeff Savory. Do I have a second? Second by Scott Burns. Do I have discussion? I see no discussion. I need a roll call vote.
Susan Howard Cook,
Yeah.
Chris Nealon,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Jeff Savory,
Yes.
Cecile Cormier,
Yes.
Scott Burns,
Yes.
Delaney Courier,
The motion passes unanimously. The memorandum of understanding will be signed by the superintendent and myself. Agenda item 2, graduation celebration plan.
Okay, graduation celebration plans are in your packet in the file that you also have in front of those of you who are here. We met with the health inspector, Steve Reale, Chief Mike Foss of the fire department, and Lieutenant Ian Poirier of the police department, and reviewed plans for all the events and the type of support that we will need from their departments. They were very happy with the plans. They're very comfortable with the plans, thought they were creative. We're very pleased with the protective factors we're putting in place for the students, for the guests, families, staff members. So they've been approved by the city, and I just wanted to bring them forward to you. Don't know that I need permission or vote from you, just to let you know that they were approved and we're in good shape for those. So I can take any questions that you have on them.
We'll start with Susan. Susan, do you have any questions? Did you have an opportunity to read the plan?
Yes.
Thank you, Susan. Chris?
Yeah, so I guess the only issue that I have with the plans is the 1 car per senior. We have a lot of mixed split families. 1 car is not always going to accommodate everybody. In those instances, is there an availability for 2 cars per student?
At this point, Chris, we've been contacted by maybe 2 families, and we've held the line with 1 car, and they've accepted those answers at this point. So I'm not sure the problem is maybe as big as what people might think. We're really trying to keep it down to 50 cars so we can keep it off of Central Street when they get to the high school.
Yeah.
So, no, unless this board directs us to change it, we're gonna hold firm on that.
Okay.
And hope that families can work out the hour they have to spend together in the cars.
Yeah, so in the event that those families want to make a statement, should I tell them to contact you, Dan?
Yeah, that would be who they would contact. Yeah,
Okay, we'll do.
that's fair. Yeah, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Deb, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I agree with Chris that that we should allow the superintendent to make those decisions, because if there is a split family that may, mom and dads aren't together and they want to be in their own vehicles, that should be able to be accommodated.
Thank you. So we'll leave that. If any board member has any concerns or has some questions pertaining to the Franklin High School graduation, I would ask that you would have those people call the superintendent and speak directly with the superintendent. The superintendent will make whatever decisions are necessary. Okay. Does anybody within the library have any questions? All right, nobody within the library has any questions.
All right, so I just want to thank the administrators involved in putting these plans together. We talked about these plans for weeks, and you guys did a great job, principals, facilities director, everybody, Robin, Jewel. Can't thank you guys enough for the plan.
Okay, next item would be our meal delivery through July and August.
So as we talked about last time, we know we've received a waiver to serve meals throughout the summer from July to the end of August. So I directed Jefferson to put together the plan for the summertime meals. He came up with 4 different scenarios that you have in your folder or in front of you right now. We discussed delivering meals 5 days a week like we currently are. We discussed delivering meals 3 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like many districts are doing currently. We talked to our food service workers to see what was working for them. We talked with the bus company to make sure they would be available for it. We talked with the summer food people at the city and in the Merrimack County. I can't remember the name of the organization that does the summer feeding, but we talked with them as well. So what we decided, what we'd like to recommend to you is that we go to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday delivery for the summer. In fact, we are recommending that we start that Monday, Wednesday, Friday on June 15th, where the last day of school is Tuesday, June 9th. We will deliver all week that week, start the 3 days a week on the 15th, and run that all through till August. So I will let Jefferson talk to you about the revenue projections and the costs involved in that, so we can recommend the one plan of the 4 that we're suggesting.
Okay, so I calculated some numbers based on labor and paper goods and food product costs, as Brenda Patel had provided with me for those calculations. She also gave me a rough meal count, which could be a bit rosy in the figures. But with the transportation and so forth, and going with a Monday, Wednesday, Friday scheduled delivery, we're looking at approximately 880 meals delivered. That could be a bit rosy, could go down a bit, but the food service program would actually stand to make a fair amount of money, probably a little over $80,000 in that scenario. Say if we cut the meal in half, which probably wouldn't be that drastic on the meals that we would deliver, that would probably bring us down to at least break even or a little better on the food service program costs. The big point of this too is though that the infrastructure that we have set up currently would probably allow us to provide more meals to more families because we would be delivering them. The CAP that does the summer program typically is just a grab and go type setup where the families would actually have to go to the site to get the meals that they could. And I think that also limits the amount of families that actually have access to those meals. With this scenario, we're actually continuing with our current food delivery route through the bus stops and probably be able to provide it to more families. The summer program is called Seamless Summer Option. The program also allows us to provide meals to kids of all ages that are actually able to eat. So if they're a year old and they can eat solid food, we can provide meals to those kids. So any from that age up to 18 years old, or 21 if so, if they're and that's in the school system, would have access to those meals. So that's what we're looking forward to doing this summer.
Another piece of that, we did talk with the food service workers since they're not in a contract during the summer. And we talked to them about paying them all a flat rate of $15 an hour, which is typically what we would do, like we do with our teachers for summer school and like we with our support staff for summer school. They were all comfortable with that. Even the ones that were taking a pay cut because of it, they understood that they were all doing the same jobs all summer long, so they all deserved to have the same pay rate. So that's one of the options as well. So the option we're recommending is the one where we deliver Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we pay all our food service employees $15 an hour. Yes, that's with the exception of Brenda. Brenda, well, actually, I'll let Jefferson answer that one. How are we handling Brenda, Jefferson?
Well, I would figure with Brenda, we would look at the number of days that she would be working and pay her at her new contract rate for the next year. And that's what I calculated into my numbers.
Yeah, thank you, Jefferson.
Because she also has to continue to do all the food ordering and the deliveries set up and basically the total supervision of the whole process and ordering of all the supplies that are necessary, which is what she's doing right now.
Great, super. Thank you, Jefferson.
You're welcome.
Dan? How will the families notify you if they have more children than just the school-age children?
Well, we're gonna put this out, Deb. We're gonna put an email blast out. We're gonna let the city know so the city can put a blast out as well, so that the word is widely spread that this is for not just for school-aged children, but it's for all children up to the age of 18. So we'll widely spread it as much as we can through the city's means and the school's means. We even talked about maybe asking Fred Caruso to put it on the radio so that we can get the word out through that media as well.
So will there be a form that they'll need to complete?
No, they automatically qualify. We can just hand it right out to anybody. There's no qualification. There's nothing that they have to do.
Okay.
I'd like to say that Susan has her hand up.
Yep. Deb? Deb?
Go
as
ahead,
it's working-
Susan.
As it's working right now, I mean, the ladies or whoever's on the bus typically will ask you how many children you have anyway. I mean, I have yet to see them, and I know they've had days where they've come close to running out, but I don't think they've run out of food, delivering food right now, anyway.
Thank you, Susan.
I would like to add to that too, that if there's been a scenario where they didn't have enough food at the bus at the time, they will go back and make some more meals and redeliver those to those locations that need it.
Thank you, Jefferson. Okay, so we had him muted for a second. We just got to keep going back and forth. Robin keeps reminding me. Okay, so you've heard the proposal set forth by the superintendent and our business administrator. So we need to make a motion on the presentation by the superintendent for this lunch program, meal delivery through July and August.
So moved.
So moved by Deb Brown. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Second by Susan. Do I have discussion? So Kathy, can you make it in the motion that that is going to start on June 15th?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Again, do we have any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion on Zoom. Any discussion within the library? No discussion within the library. I need a roll call vote.
Susan Howard Cook,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Chris Nealon,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Jeff Savory.
Yeah.
Cecile Cormier. Delaney Courier. Scott Burns. Did I cover everybody? I think I covered everybody.
You did.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously, and our meal delivery will continue through July and August to begin on June 15th. Next agenda item is our 2020-2021 budget adjustment. Turn that over to Dan.
Okay, so we did finally receive the final numbers from the city, and we have good news for you. We're actually getting $7,000+ more than they had anticipated. So I'll let Jefferson go through the specifics with you, but that means we'll have to apply that in the budget and have you vote on the new number. which is always better than going down. So Jefferson, you're on.
Thank you. So I hope you all had a chance to look at the budget that was saved into the board packet and emailed out to you also. Like Dan said, the number for the tax appropriation to the school from the city was $7,537 higher. When speaking with the finance committee this past Thursday, I had asked them if I could apply that to a salary line that had originally been under budgeted, and this amount of money would adjust that number back to where it needed to be. So in the budget that I did present does have that adjustment already made. It shows now that the net amount of the budget, including federal funds, is $17,104,600. The general fund and food service was $15,566,100, which is a $29,268 increase from the year before. And I guess does anybody have any questions?
Jefferson, can I have that number one more time? I got 17,104.
17,104,600.
Thank you, Jefferson.
You're welcome.
Sorry, question I had. Okay, Susan, do you have any questions for Jefferson and or Dan? Okay, thank you. Chris?
No.
Thank you, Chris. Deb?
No,
No questions by Deb. Any questions by any of the board members in the library? There are none. I need a motion to accept and adjust a new budget total amount.
So
no
moved.
move.
Okay, so I got a so moved by two of you, so I'm gonna take so moved by Susan, and Deb, do you wanna second it?
That's fine.
Okay. So, motion's been made to adjust the Franklin School District budget to 17, overall number to 17,104,600, seconded by Deb. Do we have any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I need a roll call vote.
Susan Hallett Cook,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes,
Chris Nealon,
Yes.
Jeff Savory, Cecile Cormier, Scott Burns, Delaney Courier.
Jefferson, you'll now forward the new adjusted budget to the city. I know you've done a new presentation for it.
Yeah, the presentation that I put into the folder and emailed everybody was what I was going to send to the city, so that they can include that in the packet of information that they'll provide to the city council members for the June 17th budget presentation.
Thank you, Jefferson.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is a 2020-2021 budget presentation.
So as Jefferson just said, we were contacted by the city, and we will have our budget presentation on Wednesday, June 17th at 6 o'clock. That will be done completely remotely. So they use a calling system for their meetings. We will be able to see a PowerPoint presentation, but you will not be able to see each other or any of the city councilors. The administration is continuing to work on the PowerPoint presentation. We will meld it all into one. Jefferson will not be available that night for the presentation because he'll be recovering. So Tim and I will take the district part. We'll have the principals present afterwards, and then Rebecca will do the special education part, very similar to what we did last year. And it should go very smoothly. My thought process is they will give us a link, the phone number, so that everybody that can call in, so that everybody can follow along like we've done before. And we should go from there, and I don't anticipate any problems with that. So I'll take any questions about that, but just wanted to let you know about it.
Susan, do you have any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Chris?
No.
Thank you, Chris. Deb?
No,
Thank you, Deb. Anybody within the library have any questions about the budget presentation? We have no questions within the library. Thank you, Dan, for that presentation, or letting us know that information. Okay, next agenda item is a Chromebook return. So we'll give that back over to Dan.
So the administrative team has been working on the Chromebook return process, as well as textbooks, though there are very few textbooks out there, as we found out. So we have basically what we're going to do. Seniors will be returning their Chromebooks first and paying all of their dues and any fees they owe us before they get their caps and gowns. So that will be happening soon, because the last day of school for seniors is tomorrow. So Carrie will be sending a letter home tomorrow that outlines the dates and how that will work for seniors. The nice thing is we have the cap and gown that we can hold until we get the Chromebook back. That should work out very well for us. We have 3 days lined up for the high school, middle school, and elementary school to return Chromebooks. Those Chromebook returns will all be done at the middle school. So we'll do drive-by drop-offs. It'll be the high school on Wednesday the 10th. It'll be the middle school on Thursday the 11th, and it'll be the elementary school on Friday the 12th. If parents have kids in more than one school, they could just pick whichever day works for them and just drop them off all at once. We just figured it would be a lot easier to drop them all right off at the middle school right there with where our tech center is, where all the technicians work. Our technicians will be out there, and we'll have a few other people out there if necessary. The process will be they'll come by, they'll drop them, the Chromebook in a plastic bag right into a bin. We have a bunch of bins that we have for other reasons. We'll put like 10 in a bin, and we'll collect them, we'll let them sit for a week, and then we'll start to do our summer work on them. We had talked about whether or not to let the summer school kids keep their Chromebooks. What we've decided to do is collect all the Chromebooks from everybody. And what we're going to do for summer school ESY and for tutoring for Title I, like we talked about last time, is for anybody who doesn't have their own devices at home for this, we will give them laptops for the summer. So we'll have them come back and get those laptops once we've identified. That doesn't start till after the 4th of July, so we have plenty of time to put that together. And parents would then be able to come in and pick those up if they need them. A lot of parents have their own devices at home for them. So we just wanted to let you know that we did work out a nice process for that. After they drop off their Chromebooks, they can make their way. If they have textbooks, they can go to the schools and drop them off. And we should be good to go. We'll have tables and bins outside the schools as well. Trying to do it all outside in the front lobbies, not in the schools, if we can. Any questions about that, I can answer.
Did we have any other date, Dan, in case it rains, or is there a time that you've set up for these to be returned in case working parents?
We set up for 8 to 3 for the 3 days for right now, and if we need to do that, we will. So typically what happens is parents will reach out to us, and we work that out with them. So we don't have a problem with doing that if we have to. We've done it before, when we handed them out. And we'll even put that in the letters that go home tomorrow. We'll say, if this doesn't work, you just contact us and we'll arrange a time to do it.
Dan, when does the trimester end for seniors? If the last day of school is tomorrow for them, is it tomorrow?
The last day for seniors is tomorrow, so the last day for the trimester for them is tomorrow, yes.
You're all set, Deb?
All set.
Thank you. Susan, do you have any questions on the Chromebook returns? Thank you, Susan. Chris?
All set.
Thanks, Chris. Deb?
All set.
Thank you, Deb. Anybody within the library have any questions? There are no questions within the library. Thank you. Next agenda item is planning for fall 2020, 2021.
Okay, so the administrative team has begun planning for the 3 days that we have with our staff after the last day of school, which is June 9th, a Tuesday. So the principals and the whole administrative team have talked a lot about a lot of scenarios, potential scenarios. And we will be asking our staff to plan for these scenarios, not knowing which scenario will be the one that we end up going with for sure in September. So I've directed them to consider the scenario where everybody comes back to school with protective measures in place, and what that potentially might look like, what it would look like if nobody comes back to school and everybody's still home in remote learning, and what that would need to look like. And then what does it look like if we're in some kind of hybrid format where some kids are in, some kids are out, and there's a lot of different variations to consider in that particular scenario. So they're preparing to prepare their staff to do this work. It will be an exercise in brainstorming, not trying to lock in solidified plans, but to exhaust all of the ideas that we can in the district about possibilities, so that then the admin team over the summer will continue to work on the scenarios, take the latest information from the health professionals and from the governor, and obviously work with the school board as we get closer to the start of school to make decisions about what it's going to look like. We will be pressured by people to make decisions early, and I would say that we will do our best not to make a decision hastily until we have all the information that we need to make the best decision that we can. But I wanted the board to know that we've been talking about this and starting to plan for this, and we'll continue to let you know where we're at and what we come up with. We meet as superintendents groups throughout the state, so I have connections with all the superintendents about what they're working on. So it's not just the Franklin plan. The information is shared across the state. So I'll steal as much as I can from everybody else and share whatever we come up with them as well. The Principals Association does the same thing, so the principals have been grabbing stuff from the other districts as well. And you know, what I've been telling the admin team is ultimately the authority is with the governor to close us, but certainly the school board to open us. So we'll be making sure that we have all the information we can for you, and you will end up being the ones that make that decision about what direction we go in come fall, like you have been for summer school and everything else. So I wanted to throw it out there. We're willing to have a discussion about it tonight if people want to share any ideas or have thoughts about it. But like I said, it's 2.5 months away, so it's kind of hard to make any significant plans about what it's going to look like yet.
All right, so pertaining to Dan's information, does anybody, I see Deb, I believe, has a question?
It's not a question, I just wanted to let, the board know that I sent Dan and you, Tim, some information, not knowing what the return is going to look like. There's some technology out there that, is available to purchase for, scanning text, temperatures and things of that nature. So I just wanted to know that's an avenue that could be, might be part of the reopening. Who knows what the governor's thinking or what they're gonna come out with. That we might be able to use the CARES funds to purchase this technology, but I gave it to Dan and Tim for investigation if they decide that that's a route they wanna consider.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, I did receive that email this afternoon, and I looked over it. And I'm going to leave that for Dan and Jefferson to sit down and discuss it and figure out later on when things get closer and what decisions will be made, and if that's possibly something, Deb, that we will need to look at, then we'll at least be one step ahead, and Dan and Jefferson can have a discussion on what route they want to take.
The company that is with is OneSource, and it's a matter of that technology is coming into their business and then it's going right out. So if it's something that you are interested in for the fall, then you would need to move on it quickly to get your name on a list for the technology portion. So that's an important thing just to keep in mind.
All right, thank you, thank you, Deb. Susan, do you have any questions about the fall? Thank you, Susan. Chris?
All set.
Thank you, Chris. Deb, you have any further questions on the fall?
No,
Thank you, Deb. Is there anybody within the library? Yeah, Delaney, go ahead. Yep, come sit here.
I'd just like to see that, in the case that we go back to school in the fall, fully remote, the way we are right now, that we have a unified plan for at least each school, if not the entire SAU, to be all doing everything's the same way, versus when this came up, we all just kind of jumped and did everything we could to just get the job done. I just want to make sure we have a fully encompassing plan for the fall, or if we have to be fully remote.
Thank you, Delaney. I saw the superintendent taking notes on that, so he's all set with that.
Hey, Tim,
Yes.
I know that the New Hampshire School Board has been sending out surveys, Department of Ed has sent out surveys. I've got quite a few of them and have answered them, and my main concern is consistency and structure. I think that some kids are able to do well with how we are doing it right now, and there are a lot of kids that aren't necessarily doing very well, mine included. But it's the need for something a little bit more than what we're doing currently. Google Classroom had fantastic reviews. I mentioned this to Dan the other day, until the whole world went virtual, and their reviews have drastically decreased. There needs to be some way of saying, okay, kids, you're gonna have, ELA at 9 a.m. and you're all gonna sign on through whatever platform we decide. To some degree, there has to be, not every day necessarily, not every class, but I think that there has to be a little bit more structure, at least with the younger kids, maybe, or at least a way of more communication with parents. I can't get into Google Classroom for my kids' stuff, so I have to rely on like a summary at the end of the day that tells you what they're missing from last week and what upcoming projects they have, but that doesn't tell me that they've completed anything in the entire time frame that we've been virtual. So I just think that we have to come up with a little bit of a better plan if we're going to be virtual in the fall. My opinion.
Thank you, Susan. And I'm sure that's everything that will be taken under advisement. And Dan's taking notes as you're talking away. So I'm sure when they meet as an administrative team and the governor starts to make decisions on what we're going to happen, that he'll have the notes and take what you've said under it into the administrative with him.
If you think about it, when you have kids in a classroom, one kid asks a question that the whole class has, but nobody else has the courage to ask. And kids learn from each other, and we're not really being able to tap into that to that degree right now.
Thank you, Susan. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. Susan, don't know if you know this, but I'm on the work group for the Governor's Task Force or the Commissioner's Task Force on reopening, so I'll try and bring that back. I think the flip side of that coin, and I totally understand as a parent as well, because I have two kids that are remote schooling at home, so I understand the value of the structure and the consistency. The flip side of that, however, is that we also need to be concerned about the equity issue, And if you were to schedule English for 9 o'clock on every Thursday morning, there are some kids who don't have a parent there to help them at that time of day. So we just, I mean, I think there's two sides of the coin, and I totally get what you're saying, but if you have anything, and anybody else in the school board, if you have anything specific, please feel free to reach out to me too if you want to make sure that those things get heard on the task force itself.
Barbara, the other option is something like Zoom where you can record it. So if a child can't sign on at 9 a.m. on every Thursday for English, they can still, with their family, when they have the time, watch something where there is those,
Right.
you know, give and take, where they're, you know, the kids are asking questions and getting answers.
Right. I think unfortunately, and we're seeing I mean, this is not specific to Franklin, and I don't want to get into politics right now. But unfortunately, what this whole episode of coronavirus and all the restrictions and all of the changes that everybody has to make is just shining a spotlight on a lot of the inequities and a lot of the facts, you know, the reality of the fact that people are going to have to learn as best they can.
I think that what I have seen is, you know, where the parents are there and are able to work with the kids, it's great. When the parents aren't, and I'm going to be the first to say, I don't think I'm doing so good at 4th grade math. My kid's going to come back to school, I'll give you a fair warning, doing long division the way I learned it, because I don't understand this whole lattice thing. And I think we're going to have a lot of kids coming back that way. But I think, you know, there has to be, Barbara, I'll give you an example, Khan Academy. You know, my kids have used it in prior years. And the parent signs on, the parent signs their child up, and the parent gets a report at the end of every day what their child has done, how long their child was on it. So I can actually say, oh, look, you know, Aiden really did do math for an hour today, and he actually passed something in, which I can tell you he probably hasn't done at all in the entire time we've been virtual, because it's very hard to find out, you know, exactly where things are unless you're emailing teachers every day. And I think his teachers are pretty sick of me by now. You know, what they're actually getting accomplished.
Hold on, Bob, before you answer. Robin's had her hand up. Dan didn't mute.
It's a professional development thing, Susan, because I believe Google Classroom does offer what you're talking about, and it's a matter of us making sure we can train our staff on how to do that too. I know they do have some of those similar features, and some of the teachers are using it. We got caught off guard. This isn't the norm. So it's something we can look into to ensure that if we're going to be remote next year, that we do a little bit more in making sure our teachers understand how to give those same kind of reports in Google Classroom as well. And we have Discovery Ed, which also I'm sure gives that same capability. So it's a matter of us just making sure that we provide that, because I think it's all available already.
And training us how to use it would be a really good thing to do too, because I'm not gonna lie, I have discovered just how technology challenged I am.
And that's a definite difficulty, unfortunately, at this point too, is training our staff, our kids, and our parents all at the same time is going to be a challenge, I won't lie. And it is something that we definitely need to look into, whether we offer courses for the parents to take, maybe. I don't know. But yes.
I mean, the reality is I get Google Classroom reports for both boys every day on my phone. But like I said, you know, it's not every teacher that's doing it. And all I get is the missing from last week and the upcoming. What about 2 weeks ago? Is that still missing? What about, 8 weeks ago? Is he got stuff that is still missing? I don't get that kind of report. That's all.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and move on from that. Yeah, we're all set with that, and the superintendent will keep us up to date. Do we have any late items to bring before the board?
Yes. Two things. One is the admin team in the Communications Strategic Planning Committee has been looking at a product called Aptigee. And what it is a platform for a website and a mobile app to increase communications and improve communications in the district. So we've been looking at this for a while. We had a meeting last week, and we did a demo with a few of the board members who were there and got to see it. What I wanted to do is to have another communications meeting next Wednesday night at 6 o'clock for the communications committee. So for the administrators that were there, if we could look at our calendars for next Wednesday night at 6, that would be great. I will be sharing some information with the board in your board. I'll either email it to you or put it in the board folder. But I would like to have a discussion in our meeting in 2 weeks about the possibility of us purchasing this product and getting it up and running for next school year. And I'll leave it at that for now. So I just want to give you that introduction, I guess, to it. The second thing that I wanted to bring up, and I'm having a brain cramp right now on what it is. Wednesday's communication meeting. FGG. I guess that was it.
When is the communication meeting again? I'm sorry, Dan.
Next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Next Wednesday. June 10th. Thank you, Cecile. June 10th.
All right, so that takes care of late item. Delaney, Delaney's asking about public participation at committee meetings and having a discussion, but we're gonna have to hold that off until our full board meeting in 2 weeks because I can't go off of what the agenda is. So we'll put that on the agenda for our full board meeting in 2 weeks. Okay.
We did get a nice email from Katie Gargano at the city that says, great, thank you so much, Dan. Thank the school board for me as well. We'll let you know what the council decides on the high school. That was good too.
Excellent. Give that 1 second. All right, we turned the speaker down because I know Robin was saying they got to turn the speaker down. All right, so that brings us to our last agenda item, which is other. And under my other, I normally leave it to any administrators have any questions or comments that they want to bring before the board. So I'll go individually. I'll start with you, Barbara. Barbara's shaking her head. She's good. Thanks, Barbara. I think I missed you last time at the meeting. Robin?
All set, thanks.
Thank you. Jewel? Jewel's all set. Thank you. Toby? You got to unmute, Toby. Ken?
I'm all set, but I want to thank Dan and my fellow administrators for coming up with celebrations at all 3 schools to recognize our kids and to give some closure for this year. It really is. I'm excited to see what it all comes down to. I think the community is really grateful that we're able to celebrate even in this way.
Thank you, Ken. Jay?
All set, thank you.
Thanks, Jay. Susan?
I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Carrie?
All set, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Peter?
I'm all set, Ken. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Rebecca?
All set, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Jefferson?
I'm all set, thank you.
Thank you, Jefferson. All right, I believe we have a non-public session that we have to attend to tonight for personnel, so I'll need a motion to go into non-public. So moved by Cecile, go into non-public. Under the 91A, Kathy will just have to put in all the numbers, it's for personnel and everything.
So Tim, I'm gonna take you off live streaming, and at this time, we're gonna go non-public.
Okay, thank you.
Who's
And it was
seconded?
It was second by Scott.
Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call.
Yes, please.
Susan Hallett Cook,
Yes.
Chris Nealon,
Yes.
Deb Brown,
Yes.
Tim Dow,
Yes.
Jeff Savory.
Yes.
Cecile Cormier.
Yes.
Scott Burns. Delaney Courier. And who is staying in the non-public session?
It'll be the school board, it'll be Dan and you and Jefferson? Nope, just you, Kathy. To everybody else, thank you very much. We're gonna go into
Thank you,
non-public.
everyone.